guys, Bethany here with the next chapter, and today I am doing my reading life in 10 books tag, which Gina tagged me on, so I will link her channel in the description down below. Check her out, she's super fun and I love listening to her, so go give her some love. So to start out, I'm starting out at the beginning of my life, I guess. I have some kind of weird assortment of books for you, but just go with it. Our first one, I think I told the story on my BookTube newbie tag about learning to read when I was 4 because no one would read me a story. And so I begged my mom to teach me how to read. And one of my earliest favorite authors was Richard Scarry. And so I still have some Richard Scarry books. I tend to pick these up at thrift stores, and I just love them. They have such fun illustrations and fun stories, and there's all the animals are the characters instead of people, and there's even a fun character in one of them that's a pig, and his name is Humperdinck. And I even named my pet pig after that character. So I had a pig named Humperdinck after someone in this book. People always ask me, oh, did you name your pig after, the Princess Bride character? But I didn't. It was after the pig Humperdinck in the Richard Scarry books. So this is one of my first loves there. And the next one, still a little silly, but here you go, Cinderella. And whenever I find this specific copy at a thrift store, I immediately buy it. I can't help it. I actually have several copies of this book. And the reason why is because when I was little, even after I could read, my grandpa would read me this book. And it lived at their house. It was their book. And so I only got to read it when I went to Grandpa and Grandma's house. And my grandpa even did the characters' voices. And so I just always remember him reading the part of the little mice, and they'd say, Cinderella, Cinderella, and he would just do all the voices, and it was awesome. So I love this book. I know it's silly, but I have to have it. It's one of my old friends. And then my next one is one I talked about in my last newbie tag too, and that is Beauty by Robin McKinley. It's a middle grade book and a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And for some reason, when I was in elementary and middle school, I was obsessed with this book. And frankly, I still love this book. And I love to reread it over and over again. It's just wonderful. All things Robin McKinley. If you've never read this author before, Robin McKinley is fantastic. She also did Robin Hood retelling, The Blue Sword. If you're looking for something for your kids, then check out the Robin McKinley books because they're just wonderful. And then working through, now you get to really find out some confessions from me. My dad loved the movie Gone with the Wind, which sounds weird that he loved it, but he did. And I remember him making me watch it. And I loved it too, and I loved the movie so much that when I was in 8th grade, I read the book. And I still love this book. This is my loved copy of it. And this is this is my first really huge book that I read. And I think this really started my love of historical fiction and just learning about other people and other times. And I just love this one. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's fantastic. And yeah, I read it kind of young actually, but what are you going to do? And then in high school, I told you guys about how my family would go to the library every week and we'd bring home an apple box full of books. And we didn't just read our own books, of course, we'd read everyone else's books too. And I remember my mom bringing home this book, and I ended up picking it up and reading it in high school when I was done with all my books. And that is To Dance with Kings by Rosalind Laker. And she became one of my favorite authors as well. She does all historical fiction. And as you can see, they're quite long. This one in particular started me off in high school with an obsession about the French Revolution. This book takes place between Louis XIV to Louis XVI, and it actually follows mother's to daughter's story. So it starts out with a mom, and then her daughter, and she grows up, and then she eventually has a daughter, and follows them one by one, and what happens to them all the time living near Versailles. So it's absolutely excellent. I'm not actually sure you can get this book anymore. I don't know. This is an old copy of mine that I will never let go. I just love it. And then when I was a senior in high school, one of my favorite teachers was Miss Lawton, and she was my freshman year English teacher, but she was also my French teacher. And so I had her all 4 years, and she recommended this book to me, and that is The Mists of Avalon. And I just fell in love with it. As you can see, it's another one that's going to take you a long time to read, but it tells the King Arthur legend, but from the perspective of the women in the story. And it's absolutely fantastic. If you love fantasy and myth retellings and that kind of thing, then this book is just amazing. So highly recommend this one. And as you can see, I got into some really long stuff in high school, but I just loved them. And then when I hit college, I didn't have as much time for reading. So just, you're busy studying and doing college things. And so my reading definitely dropped off when I was in college. But there's a couple of things that I did read in school, and they have stuck with me, and I still own copies of them today. The first one, I happened to be reading, I think it was a People magazine. That's pretty much the limits of my reading in college. It was a People magazine, and it had some book reviews in it of upcoming releases. And one of the books mentioned was Girl with a Pearl Earring, which of course we know has done very well. It became very popular, and it was made into a movie with Scarlett Johansson. But I read the synopsis of this book in the magazine. I thought, oh my gosh, that book sounds amazing. I love historical fiction, and I was also taking some classes at the time, some humanities classes where we were studying art. And so this book really spoke to me because it was about this famous painting. And so one of the few books that I read for fun in college was this one, Girl with a Pearl Earring. And this is my original copy that I bought then, and I love it. And as a result, actually, Tracy Chevalier, I have read all of her other stuff too, and actually own a lot of her stuff. And if you know from watching my channel, I don't buy a lot of books, so I actually have a stack of Tracy Chevalier's. And then in college, I studied social work. I have a degree in social work, and I went on after college to work for Child Protective Services and investigating child abuse and that kind of thing. And so a book that I read in college and then also after college was A Child Called It. And this is a true story, a memoir of a boy who was severely abused by his mother throughout his life. And it's actually a trilogy of books. He manages to eventually be taken out of that situation and to be protected. And so this book was really poignant for me, studying what I did in college and then actually helping children who were in this situation. So it's definitely one that you have to have a stomach for, and it could be a very difficult read for some people. So read it with caution, but it is excellent. Highly recommend that one as well. And then finally, my last book, just so you know a little bit more about me. I was actually born and raised in Alaska. And my grandparents went up there in 1950 and had a homestead. And So that's where, until I went off to college in the States, I was in Alaska. And so a beloved book that all Alaskan kids end up studying, Robert Service, The Spell of the Yukon. You'll probably know The Cremation of Sam McGee. Starts out there, strange things done in the midnight sun and the land men moil for gold. Classic one that we all study. I know it's studied in other states and schools as well, but it's definitely hit hard on in Alaska. And so this actually book lives on my display shelves in my house because I love it so much. And there's some great funny poems in here, and I just love them. And he really catches the spirit of northern living. So I'll definitely have to share some more stories about Alaska with you guys. I am going up there this summer to visit my grandma. My grandma is going to be 98 this summer, and I'm excited to get to visit her. And I'll probably do a little video on some great books that take place in Alaska. So look forward to that this summer. So I hope you enjoyed that. It gave you a little insight into my reading journey through my life. I know I didn't hit much onto my adulthood, but honestly, I think it's in those childhood and into those college years, a really formative time for your reading really affects who you are and the way you think and what you're going to become. And I think by the time you're an adult, a lot of times you've already kind of settled into who you are as a person. You've kind of figured that out. And so for me, it's those books in college and before that just really made me who I am today and affected my current reading life. Anyway, let me know what you think. Have you read any of those? Or maybe do you have any thoughts? Do you have any books that maybe did change you as an adult? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. And please, as always, subscribe so that you don't miss what's in the next chapter. Thanks for watching.